This spring meal will include red lentil soup, coconut rice with fresh spinach, and herbed peas. I'll start by centering myself. As I close my eyes, I focus at the point between the eyebrows, the center of inspiration. Taking a deep breath, open myself to a new flow of creativity. Praying, inspire me, Lord, as I cook this meal today. I will start by making the red lentil soup, and it's a delicious light soup. And red lentils are a good source of easy to digest protein and are rich in fiber, iron, and magnesium. So I will use my pressure cooker, this one a big pressure cooker. I will turn it on. And I will start by sauteing onions. And I'm going to use sunflower oil, about 3 tablespoons or so. So I have minced about 1 cup of onion. And I will add them now. And they will start to, in a minute, you will hear it. Put the Celtic salt along with it. And while this is happening, I will set the lentil aside. I'm going to take 2 celery stalks and I will just chop them. At the end, we're going to blend the soup. So the shape of the cutting, it's not important. So we have the onion. So the onion and the celery, and then we're going to add some 2 cups of green cabbage, adding the flavor. And then we'll add also a turnip, about 1 cup. So I will let that saute for a few more minutes, and then I will add the celery to it. Meanwhile, I have here a turnip, so you can see that. And here is one that is peeled. So cut this half. I want to cut it small enough so it will add nice flavor to the soup. I think I'm going to add now the celery. A little bit Celtic salt. I'll cover it. Lower a little bit so it's medium-high heat. Meanwhile, need about 1 cup. So about half of the turnip, which is medium to big turnip that I used. So we'll add that in. I think I will add now the cabbage. A little more salt to soften it. Let it saute, lowering a little bit. Let it saute for a few more minutes. And then I will add the turnip. And then we have here about 2 medium carrots peeled and cut into quarter, and we'll do that. And after that, I will add the lentils, and we'll add also half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of powdered cumin, and 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, and about 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. Okay, so these wonderful herbs will help digestion and will also bring flavor to this soup. At the end, we'll blend the soup and we'll add to it just seasoning such as bragg and salt. See how this is doing? The cabbage is softened. I'm going to add the turnip. And the carrots. And I'm adding the red lentils, which I rinsed, 1 cup. Put this here. Mix it all with the vegetables. We're adding the garlic powder and the cumin, half teaspoon. Sea coriander, we use 1 teaspoon to help digestion, gives a nice flavor. You don't want to overdo the cumin or the turmeric. The turmeric can cause it to become bitter if you put too much of it. So this is our flavoring. Mix it all. And we'll add to that 4 cups of water. I'm already smelling the wonderful smell here. So 4 cups of water. Gonna mix it again. Heat is up. Close. I seal it. I will bring it to a boil and I will simmer it for about 5 minutes. Okay? And so afterwards we will blend the soup, and before blending it we just add a bit of bragg and we'll add some salt to it. So this is our red lentil soup. So now the soup, believe it or not, is ready. We're still waiting for the pressure cooker to release the steam. But the red lentil soup, easy to make, but you always want to add something creative. So this dish will be a very creative one, and I'll show you how. I'm going to cook in a rice cooker. I will cook basmati rice. 1 cup, I washed the basmati rice. Before I add it to the rice cooker, I'll just lubricate the bottom a little bit because I know my rice cooker, so it won't stick to the bottom. It'll be nice and fluffy. So this is good, just the bottom, no need to do the sides. So this is 1 cup of basmati rice, rinsed. And to this, I will add 2.5 cups of water and half teaspoon of Celtic salt. Usually I use 2 cups, but with this basmati rice I found that if you really want the rice to fully mature without being soggy, 2.5 cups is great. It's moist, but still each grain is separated. So got that. Cover that. I'll plug the rice cooker into and turn it on. So this is the rice that will go nicely with the red lentil. But now with it, the creative part is that I will now do some ghee. Okay, I will melt the ghee, and let me turn the heat on. And you can use, if you don't want to use ghee, you can use oil, but it's 2 tablespoons of ghee, which add a wonderful flavor to the basmati rice. So I will let this melt, and to that, once it's melted, I will add 1/3 cup of unsweetened shredded coconut. Okay, and I will saute them until they're a bit golden. It happens really fast. And then I will turn the heat off and add a little bit of sea salt to it. Okay, and this is the spinach. It's best to use if you have the regular spinach, but I couldn't find it, so this is the baby spinach. But nevertheless, I'll put it here so you can see. You stack the leaves one on top of the other, and you just cut very thin strips. Okay, and I will not add it. I will add it just before the rice is ready. I will fold it with the ghee and the coconut. Okay, and that will add a fantastic taste, flavor to the rice. And that's a creativity, that how you make small changes that can add a lot to what you're doing. Let me hold a second, bring the spoon here. See, I'll just mix it right with it. I'm going to lower the heat a little bit because it's hot here. You don't want to burn the coconut. And to this, I will add 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, and I will bring it. Here is my sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon. So, see, I can see, I'm going to turn it off. You can see how the edges already starting to be brown. This is basically almost burned. So, but the middle is still great. It's turning to gold. Of course, it turned gold because you mixed in the ghee, but they're done. It's done. I don't want to add the spinach now because immediately it will wilt. I will wait for the rice to be ready, which takes about 20 minutes to cook. Once it's done, it's warm, I will fold the coconut and fold in the fresh strips of baby spinach. And this is this delicious dish. Very simple to make. So now I will make the last dish, which is the herbed peas. So the rice is cooking. The soup is done, needs to be blended, and adding just the last bit of seasoning. And I have heated the stove, the skillet, and this wonderful herbed peas. You know, peas are actually the most nutritious vegetables. They're rich in minerals, vitamins, and antioxidants. They're starchy and sweet. I've learned this dish from a wonderful Italian cook. So it's heating. I'm adding here a 1/4 cup of olive oil, which Italians like to cook with. And to this, I will add about 1 cup minced onion. So you really want to cut it very fine. So this is gonna heat fast. And then I will let it saute until the onions are golden. It's all right. You can always add the onion, not when the oil is very hot. It will heat up. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. Just a little pinch of Celtic salt. Okay. And to this wonderful dish with the peas, we'll add some garlic, some sage, which is very common in Italian cooking, some sea salt, some nutritional yeast, and some water. And then we'll add the peas and let them cook all together. And when it's done, we'll add some chopped or minced parsley. Okay, so this is the dish. The onion is starting to saute. And let's give it 2 or 3 minutes. Let's see if it's ready. You want it to be golden because that's what will add the flavor to the peas, and then we'll add all the other herbs. So I'll be back with you just a few minutes when it's starting to golden. So now about 2 minutes after, you can see starting to golden. You don't want to burn the onion, but now we can add about half a teaspoon of garlic powder. You can always use fresh. If you like the subtler flavor of garlic, then use garlic powder. And then we have here about 2 teaspoons of dried sage. It adds a lot of flavor. And I'm going to use about half a teaspoon of sea salt. And to that, we'll add 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And I will mix that. Adding this is 4 cups of defrosted peas or thawed. Mix it with the rest of the ingredients. And the last is a 1/3 cup of water. I could have added the water before the peas, but it's okay. Kind of to blend all the herbs with the water and then add the peas, but either way is fine. And now I will basically cover it and turn the heat up for just a moment, and then I will turn it down and simmer it for about 8 to 10 minutes. Turn the heat off and then sprinkle about a 1/4 cup of fresh parsley. So this is our meal today. Wonderful colors. You have the golden colors of the red lentil soup. You have the coconut rice with spinach, and then you have the peas. So I think I'm going to turn it now down and get it to 10 minutes. And then the last thing that is left before after this is done is to blend the soup and mix also with the rice the coconut and the spinach. So the peas are still simmering. There's about a little bit more than 2 minutes left. And meanwhile, I will blend the soup. So I will open it. It looks wonderful. I hope you can see it from here. Very golden with specks of orange from the carrot. So I will add to that 2 tablespoons of bragg, and I will also use a little bit of salt. I'm going to use half a teaspoon. You know that red lentil give a sweet flavor. And add a little bit, like a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm just going to use fresh ground pepper. And a little pinch of cayenne. Just again, if you really like hot, you can add a little bit more, but just a little bit. And now I will blend the soup. You can blend it in a food processor, or you can use a hand blender. Beautiful golden liquid. Perfect timing. So we'll leave this here for now. I'm going to turn the peas off, and just before I serve it, I will sprinkle the parsley. So now what's left is to fold the coconut into the rice with the spinach, and then we can serve. So now we have only the final touches. Herbed peas. You can see how beautiful this is. And I will just use the parsley. Fold it in. Still moist. And cover that. We're just about to serve. And the rice, I'll take the rice out. Use the rice spoon. Nice, fluffy. And still warm, so I don't want to touch it with my hand. I'll get it as close as I can and get it right into the bowl so you can see when I'm mixing it with the coconut and the spinach. You don't want the rice to be too dry. You want it to be a little bit moist, but not soggy or sticky. Okay, so this is our rice. You can see how beautiful it is. Bring it in. Coconut, which after you turn the heat off, it will still cook. So you can see the color of the coconut. It's golden brown. It's not burnt. Bring it in here. Okay. First I will mix that in. Wonderful smell. Ghee and coconut, you can never go wrong. Especially goes nicely with basmati rice. Enrich it in nutrients. And here are wonderful, fresh spinach, and I'll work a little bit at a time into it, and it will soften very quickly. The heat of the rice. This is our creativity today, doing the rice dish, adding the peas, and also having the soup. I will leave some just to add just before I serve, to add a nice touch at the top before we serve the rice. No, I've learned this dish actually in the Ayurvedic resort when we go every year. I used to order this dish for lunch, and I loved it. And I was just trying to figure out how they do it. So they just told me what they put in there, and I just made it up. But the flavor is very close. So this is our herbed rice. And now we're ready to serve the meal. So this is our lovely spring meal with our lentil soup, the coconut rice with spinach, and the herbed peas. And for inspiration, when cooking, it's easy to get into a routine and repeat the same menus over and over again. And that's fine. The body likes routine, and it's good to keep it simple. Yet, you can still be creative by making small changes to keep yourself inspired, fresh, and adventuresome. So enjoy your meal.